So, how do we go about rising above the state of consciousness that is trapped in duality? How do we reach beyond that state of consciousness? Well, let's start by taking a look at who you are. Now, let me just ask you to do something very simple. So far, you have been watching this video. What I'm asking you to do now is to mentally step back from your situation. It's almost like you are stepping outside of your body, and now you're standing in the back of the room, and from that vantage point you are mentally watching your body sitting in front of the computer screen and watching this video. And now, instead of watching the video, you are aware that you are a conscious being watching a video. This may seem insignificant, but it's actually a very profound thing that you have just done. There is no animal on this planet who can do what you just did, because animals, at least as far as we know, do not have self-awareness. But you have self-awareness. So what you have to ask yourself is, what is that self-awareness? What is the self that is aware of itself, that is aware that it exists as a conscious being? What gives you that ability to be self-aware? Now, you may have heard that scientists claim that all of your mental faculties, all of your thoughts and sensations are produced by the physical brain. But there are scientists, there are surgeons who have performed open brain surgery, where they have electrically stimulated various centers in the brain. And they have found that they can literally stimulate the physical brain to give people a wide variety of experiences, sensations, feelings, thoughts. But one of the most famous of these discovered that when he was stimulating people's brains and gave them a certain thought or sensation, people were always aware that this was not a real experience. This was something he was doing by stimulating the physical brain. And he actually said that he had, in all of his years of doing this surgery and experimentation, he had never found in the brain any center for self-awareness. Now, the reason for that is that the brain is not self-aware. The brain is a lump of matter. It's a lump of flesh. It is simply unaware. It is unconscious. The brain itself cannot produce consciousness. It cannot produce self-awareness. The brain can affect your consciousness because yourself is experiencing the material world through the brain and the senses, and therefore the brain can affect your experiences. But it cannot give you self-awareness. The reason for that is that you are not a physical human being. You are a spiritual being. Most religious or spiritual teachings talk about something called the soul that inhabits the physical body. But let's just focus on this idea that you have a self that is self-aware. It's a conscious self. It allows you to be conscious that you exist. It also gives you a sense of identity. Now, the question now is, where does that self come from? And what is it? Well, you have heard about Albert Einstein. What Albert Einstein did was, he proved that the world is not actually made of matter. The world is made of energy. Now, scientists cannot actually tell you what energy is. The closest they can come is to say that energy is a form of vibration. It's like a wave that's moving through water, or a sound wave moving through the air. It's vibration. But what has been proven by scientists is that there are many different forms of vibration. So you know, because you learned this in school, that your physical eyes can detect light, visible light. Well, visible light is simply vibration. Light vibrates within a certain spectrum of frequencies that your eyes can detect. But science has proven that there are many other types of light that your eyes, your physical eyes, cannot see. X-rays, for example, can penetrate your physical body and create an X-ray image of what is inside the body that your eyes cannot see. That's because they have a different vibration than visible light. Likewise, there are many other forms of vibration and energy. So what quantum physics, for example, has shown is that a subatomic particle can appear out of nowhere, divide itself into separate particles. They come together again and disappear back into the nowhere they came from. But what scientists are beginning to realize is, of course, that particles can't appear out of nowhere. So there must be something beyond what we have so far defined as the material universe. And it's very simple to explain that something in terms of vibration. There is simply a continuum of vibrations. What we call the material universe is one spectrum within that continuum. But beyond it are higher vibrations that we cannot currently detect with scientific instruments. However, we actually have a scientific instrument that can detect such higher frequencies. It's called the mind. For thousands of years, millions of people all over the world, from all kinds of backgrounds, religious and non-religious, any type of religion, have had what we call mystical or spiritual experiences. Now, what I'm proposing to you is that there's really nothing mystical about it. It is a perfectly natural experience where we simply use the mind's ability to tune in to energy frequencies, to vibrations that are beyond the material universe. You see what I'm saying here? The mind can be thought of as a radio receiver. You know what you do with a radio? You dial the little frequency button, and then you can tune in to different radio stations, right? The mind is like that. It has an ability to tune in to different vibrations, different frequencies. Now, as we grow up in this world, which is very materialistic, we are, so to speak, programmed to tune our minds to the material world. We focus our attention on the material world. And the result is that we simply forget how to tune the mind to vibrations that are beyond the material world. However, most of us still have these experiences. Most of us have had what we often call intuitive experiences. It might be a sense that you've experienced a situation before. It might be a sense of danger or warning. It might be a sense of something that's going to happen. There are many types of these intuitive experiences, but what I'm saying is that these are experiences that are perfectly natural. It's just that what happens when you have an intuitive experience is that your mind suddenly turns the dial beyond the normal state of awareness. So you experience something that is beyond that awareness, beyond the material world, beyond the dualistic level of consciousness, a higher form of experience, a higher reality that is always there. It's just that most people on this planet have forgotten how to experience it. We are, so to speak, filtering it out as unnecessary information because we are so focused on the material world. It's a little bit like the Matrix movie, where there is a parallel reality that people simply are not aware of. Only, unlike the Matrix movie, the real world is far more interesting than what they go into when they go beyond the Matrix. You see, the real world is way beyond what most people can even imagine here on Earth.